Hi everyone, welcome to Canal Days, and thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Town Library of Easthampton, Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, here with my co-host, local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Camus. As your personal tour guide, Robert will lead you through some of the most iconic sites and their legends of historic significance throughout New England's preeminent and pivotal state of Massachusetts. With his expert insights, every monument and memorial story comes to life. Afterwards, don't forget to check out his website, holyokecanaltour.org, to access the full Canal Days podcast and video series, and also check out his free in-person public tours he offers throughout Western Mass and the 2025 schedule for these special events. You can also book personalized private tours for groups of all sizes tailored to your interests. And to discover all that and much more, remember to log on to holyokecanaltour.org. So, what year was the library originally built?
It was made in 1881 off a bequest from Emily Williston, and the library was named after her. The architects were Peabody and Stern out of Boston, and they made a gorgeous building with a lot of brownstone from Longmeadow, and it's still here. Now, in the year 2006, they changed the name from Emily Williston Library to the Easthampton Public Library and Museum, and it functions as that. Soon they're going to have an annex fully available, so they'll have a lot more space. So they don't have to change around their historic library look at all. They can keep this building and the other one going. That's quite wonderful. So we're going to walk around it and get to the library, which is in the triangular land. There is a memorial plaza, which I cover with you before. It covers all the wars that Easthampton men fought in and died during. Across the way is the former Easthampton Library. Still a very strong structure, but no longer being used. So the building is almost all made out of brownstone from Longmeadow. It's a gorgeous look. It has these nice 4 windows back here that have many tiny panes, 6 across by about 10 high. Right, and it has beautiful woodwork up in the gable area. And you can see the brownstone is still very strong. Okay, and upwards above they have a tower. Okay, the chimney also made completely out of brownstone. The library is between 2 busy streets and one quiet street is Center Street. They changed the name on the 125th anniversary of the library to make it more in line with its functional name. Okay, and on this side, again, in the upper gable, they continue a very fine, quite gorgeous. It probably defines a lot of the architectural value for it. And yes, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's 8 sides, so octagonal shaped. Right, and this is the entrance. It's been handicap accessible for a long time now. Right, so now we're on Park Street, which is the official address of the library. The benefactors, Peyton Williston, Emily Williston, and Samuel Williston, all of them were very much heavily influenced the great history of Easthampton, including the Williston Academy and the Payson Congregational Church, was just up the street. Now we're on the 4th side. See that the door is, again, brownstone, but a very light look compared to the rest of the building. So they made it a little bit lighter, but continued also with the the beautiful upper gable on the doorway entrance. Okay.
Hey everyone, and welcome to our video series, Canal Days. And thanks for joining us for today's episode of an annex of the town's library in Easthampton, Massachusetts. I'm your host Carrie, here with my co-host, local historian and founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Comu. Afterwards, don't forget to check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org to access the full Canal Days video and podcast series. Also, check out his free in-person public tours he offers throughout Western Mass and the 2025 schedule for these special events. You can also book personalized private tours for groups of all sizes tailored to your interests. And to discover all that and much more, remember to log into holyokecanaltour.org. So, define for us the purpose of having an annex to the library and what we'll find inside.
Their regular space is way too small, so we're going to have this annex being refurbished and remade over to a place where we have more public events. You can have more. The annex is a former Easthampton Savings Bank. That before that was a Bank of America one time, and you can see there's a presentation room that's probably going to be here to the side. And it looks like a former bank with a neoclassical look. It's next to another bank, Bank of Easthampton. And you can see it had a drop box inside here, and that's why I'm thinking that it must be changing over totally. He's going to get rid of all these things. It's across the street from the former town hall where the memorial to Civil War veterans are. Down this street used to be the Wilson Academy, and this is the other bank I was telling you about right across the street. Right, so library annex renovation project has been going on since last year. It's going to be great. There's going to be so much more room.
Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us for today's episode of Canal Days. As always, I am your host Carrie, along with my co-host, founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Comu. Our Canal Days series delves into the vast collection of historical sites throughout Massachusetts, with Robert's expertise of the local history as our personal guide. Each episode, we uncover history throughout local communities, highlighting the historic landmarks and remaining relics, while uncovering their seminal significance. Today's episode of Canal Days, we'll be learning about the libraries of Easthampton, Massachusetts, and talking about the first library in Easthampton, Samuel Wilson, and the changes he made, the Emily Wilson Library, and the library system today. So let's begin today's episode of Canal Days. So describe the first original library in Easthampton and when it was built.
It was made inside the minister's house. It only had a few volumes, probably very religious. The first minister, Payson Wilson, wanted people to learn, and in 1792 he started up a library. This probably was right off the Central Green, which is nowadays called Pulaski Park, and he built it up from there. And then later in 1841, it was joined with a youth division that existed separately within Easthampton, and that's kind of the first library association. So it had very humble beginnings, but most libraries around New England are that way. There was no such thing as a common public library concept until after Civil War happened. And then you started to diverge, and even it took up even to the 1890s. A lot of communities to think, oh, we should build up our public library, because there are private circulating libraries around. So the history of the library within New England is a lot more complex.
Expand on how Samuel Wilson changed the library system and when.
All right, he wanted to make it more accessible, and he wanted to have an association making decisions. And so he started up a library within a building. So it was not built to be just a library in the beginning. It was just a storefront. But in 1869, he got it going, and this probably could be called the first public library of Easthampton, since you had a card system or a subscription system for all comers, and it was free for all comers instead of just a library that was based upon a certain narrow themes, young people or religion. You had one that was wide open and open to all comers that wanted to join in.
And stick around and we'll be right back after this quick announcement. Are you fascinated by local history and eager to investigate the obscure treasures off the beaten path throughout the state of Massachusetts? Or maybe just seeking an unforgettable cultural activity for family and friends to enjoy? Look no further than Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, founded by Robert Camus. With over a decade of experience, Robert offers captivating tours and presentations of historic sites and landmarks throughout the state. Whether you're interested in canals, cemeteries, charming churches, or more, Robert's tours provide a unique and enriching experience for all. And that's not it. You can also schedule private tours tailored to your interests, ensuring a personalized and adventure and unforgettable memories, and perfect for families or groups of all sizes, making for an exciting hands-on learning experience that brings history to life. Simply visit holyokecanaltour.org or email bobcat4214, capital B, @yahoo.com to book your private tour today. Getting back to our episode of the Libraries of Easthampton, chronicle when the Emily Williston Library was built.
All right, so just having a separate one room is not enough because Easthampton population kept growing. The mills brought in more people, and up Easthampton's population went. By 1879, Samuel Williston was not alive anymore, but his widow was, and she noticed that what her husband had created in 1869 still was not enough. The population outgrew it, and she gave money to build a new library. And it was ready by the year 1881 in a very central location of Easthampton. And it was named after her, the Emily Williston Library. And here you have enough space finally for everyone in Easthampton. And that building is still there. It's a gorgeous building made with long metal brownstone on the lower parts. And then the upper part it's beautiful gabled sides, 3 sides, and then has a little tower in the middle, all made of wood, but the tower is octagonal. Everything looks quite gorgeous. But even nowadays, Easthampton has outgrown this space.
And surprising impacts and changes happening to the library system now.
Yes, Easthampton wants to start up a library annex, and the annex will be across from the old town hall in a former bank building, and it'll have presentation room, computer rooms, space for children to have their programs and team programming, but it'll be just an annex, so the main body of the library will still be where the Easthampton Public Library is now. It's no longer called the Emily Williston Library. It existed as such for 125 years, but in the year 2006, they decided to change the name to Easthampton Public Library. Now, there are other libraries around town, around the city, because you have public schools and private schools around. And those, of course, the schools have their own libraries. Williston Academy has a big private library for itself. And so thus, Easthampton has always values education, whether by schools or by its library. Now, nowadays it's called the Easthampton Public Library and Museum, so they're trying to build up their artifacts collection. So I hope you visit as much of the system as you can and get to see what they have. And for historical information, they're a decent place, and I hope to build up that collection too. All right, thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to our episode on the libraries of Easthampton and joining us on our journey to the rich history of the Connecticut River Valley. We hope you enjoyed uncovering some of the hidden and overlooked marvels and the fascinating stories that shaped our past and the state of Massachusetts. A special thanks to Robert Comu, founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, for sharing his passion and expertise with us. Remember, you can find more information about Robert Stewart's book, Private Tours, and explore the Canal Days video and podcast series at holyokecanaltour.org.